BLAZAR has a brand new line of anamorphic lenses called Mantis.
You're watching CineD, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hello everyone, welcome to CineD. My name is Graham Ayler Sheldon. I'm here at NAB 2025 in the BLAZAR booth with Jackson from BLAZAR to talk about the new Mantis line, 1.33 squeeze. Let's dive right in. So what's the look that you should expect to get out of Mantis?
Well, you're effectively going to get a very similar look to the Remus, but in a much more practical 1.33x squeeze factor. The way we're doing that is the lens in the back has a oval-shaped iris mechanism that stays consistent throughout the entire T-stop range. And so once that gets distorted by the anamorphic element, then you end up stretching that even further. So the bokeh looks more stretched than it actually is. So that's how you're getting that stronger 1.5 to 2x anamorphic look, but in a more practical 1.33x squeeze factor.
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. You say more practical. I am a personal owner of the Remus line. I like them. I like the look out of them. I also think that, 2x is kind of the classic anamorphic squeeze factor if we're going to, put a label on it. When you say practical, what do you mean, Jackson?
I mean, for cameras like the FX6, FX3, Red Komodo, these cameras that have 17:9 sensors, they don't have quite enough sensor height to take advantage of a larger squeeze factor. So that's when you throw a 1.33x on and you get a much more usable aspect ratio out of those cameras with little to no cropping out of it.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, moving right along. As a Remus owner myself, I know that you recently discontinued a few of the flare looks in that particular line. What do the flares look like out of the Mantis?
So the Mantis final production unit is going to have a slight amber tint to the flare. It won't be as amber as the Remus flare, but it will just be a slight tint to it.
Nice. Okay. Well, I happen to have an amber Remus myself, so I'm very happy it's looking amber on the flares. And then you said the bokeh is consistent throughout every T-stop, essentially, with the Mantis?
Yes, that's correct. The bokeh is consistent, and also it is a constant 1.33x squeeze throughout the whole thing.
That makes sense. Well, let's talk about, the bane of most anamorphic glass on the planet, sharpness. How does it handle sharpness, let's say all the way open?
I would say that compared to the Remus, it is marginally sharper. Some of that is just due to the fact that it's a smaller squeeze factor. So when you're not stretching the image as much, you're just going to get a sharper image out of that. So if you're pixel peeping, you'll see the sharpness.
Nice. I remember with the Remus that also varies somewhat with each focal length potentially, and of course you have to keep in mind that these can be calibrated for different camera bodies. So with all that being said, is the idea to keep the same level of sharpness the same on the Mantis no matter which focal length you pick up?
Yeah, the sharpness will be the same throughout all of the focal lengths. And as with all of our other previous Remus and Kato lenses, you have the ability to shim it if necessary. But yeah, sharpness will be consistent throughout all the focal lengths.
All right, let's talk lens mount. I see PL over there. Any other lens mounts for the Mantis coming out?
Yes, we're planning on EF, RF, E, L, and Z mount options.
So that's a ton of different mount options. Very cool. Is that user interchangeable? Meaning, can I change from PL to EF or RF, et cetera, myself?
Yeah, absolutely. It is interchangeable by the user, just like our Remus and Kato lenses.
Very cool. Do you know roughly how much it will cost for each of those, like the L mount kit, the EF kit, et cetera, et cetera?
That's a good question. I would anticipate that it would be in the same price point as our current EF mount offerings for the Kato and Remus.
Yeah,
which I believe that is $100 per mount. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk pricing for each of the Mantis primes. What are we talking? Oh, and are you going to do like a kit like you've done in previous iterations?
Right. I don't have exact information on the kits, but I would assume that we're going to sell them in 3, 4, and 5 lens sets with different focal length options for those. And the pricing is not quite set in stone yet because we haven't finalized that, but we're expecting it to be within the Remus price range, so that's like $1,000 to $1,200 per lens. That's generally where we hope it will end up.
Okay, that makes sense too. If you're familiar with BLAZAR's pricing, that it's going to be at least consistent with on the more affordable side for anamorphic glass, which we love. So, final question before availability. As a lover of gimbals and operating gimbals, what is the weight of the Mantis? Because that's very important for us when we use gimbals, for example.
Yeah, well, the range, depending on each focal length, is going to be between 670 and 800 grams on those. So all of them will be flyable on like a Ronin 4D or anything like that.
Very cool. So for you out there wanting to do anamorphic oneers, you absolutely can do that if you want to. Jackson, final question, availability, when are these shipping?
So we're going to open these up for pre-order in May. That's the 35, 50, and 75 millimeter focal lengths will be available in May. Those will ship in June. And then in June, we will open the 25 and 100 millimeter for pre-order. And then that will ship the following month in July.
Well, there you have it. That's it for us here at the BLAZAR booth. 1.33 squeeze and a variety of different mounts with that affordable price point that we know and love from BLAZAR. Jackson, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
All right, stay tuned for more continuing coverage from NAB 2025. Have a great day. If you could hit like and subscribe, that would be cool. Bye, everybody.